What's up, guys? Today's date is July 8th and I am a rising senior at Carnegie Mellon. As crazy as that is for me to say, I've been wanting to film this video for a while, and I thought a fun way to kind of look back and commemorate my college journey would be to read through the essays that kind of got me into CMU in the first place, and also maybe some of the other essays, but we'll start with CMU first. So we'll start with the personal statement. So the prompt I chose was to share an essay on any topic of your choice. It can be one you've already written, one that responds to a different prompt, or one of your own design. Alright, may I please have your attention? The library will be closing in 5 minutes. If you are under the age of 10 and need a ride home, please call at this time. I shut my Magic Treehouse book and reached for my red Motorola flip phone, which my parents had given to me 2 days prior, and dialed the number to my parents' small nail salon. The whirring sound of a nail drill instantly filled my ears before I heard my mom say, "Lee Nails, how may I help you?" "Hi Mom, can you come pick us up? The library is closing soon," I said in a combination of Vietnamese and English as I walked over to Kevin and Kenny, my younger brothers, and motioned for them to begin cleaning up. "Okay, I'm on my way," she replied. I closed my phone and turned to a deserted mess of uncapped Crayola markers and unfinished paintings. I started putting papers into the recycling bin when a comic strip of pictures featuring 3 stick figures caught my eye. Kenny, the youngest, drew the 3 of us in a variety of activities: cooking together, cleaning together, doing homework together, and playing together. I snapped a photo with my Motorola and resumed cleaning. 5 minutes later, my phone vibrated, my mom's voice telling me to hurry. I found my brothers hiding in the children's area and hauled them to the car. From that day forward, my Motorola became a defining symbol of my status as the only child of 2 Vietnamese immigrants. My red phone that I carried held the authority of both my parents and the responsibility for my 2 youngest brothers. I was like an adult now, and I had a duty to care for my siblings. When Kevin had a show-stopping basketball game, I mirrored the other parents and took photos when they did because my parents could not attend. By the time I was 12, my responsibilities had evolved. On school nights, I reheated dinners, but not before reminding my brothers to shower and check over their homework assignments. On the weekends, I hauled fallen trees to help my dad in his small business and sorted nail polishes at my mom's nail salon alongside my brothers. It wasn't until my brothers were older that my perspective on my relationship with them changed from a caretaker to a caring friend. Kevin was starting 9th grade, trying to learn the ins and outs of high school, and Kenny was beginning middle school. Our age gaps felt negligible. Because Kevin and I now attended high school together, we spent more time together. After school, we both partook in cross country, during which we shared perspective, feeling challenged by the actual exercise but also loving the dopamine rush that followed. I got to know Kevin as an adventurous, thrill-seeking brother. When Kenny found his passion for baking, I found my role as his sous chef, gathering ingredients and cleaning bakeware. Together we worked to create a plethora of pastries ranging from donuts to cinnamon rolls. I saw Kenny's unnerving determination to create, even if it meant he had to start all over again. Looking back, I'm grateful that my parents placed this responsibility on me because I discovered my passion for working with children, both in my immediate family and my local community. Although I had to mature quickly, it was a blessing in disguise. Without my experience as a caretaker for my younger brothers, I would not have had this realization and the opportunities to volunteer to work with children for several nonprofits. I hope to continue working with children as I aspire to one day become a pediatric neurologist. Although I no longer have my red Motorola, the sense of responsibility and self-discovery that came with my first phone forever charges me. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, the first bit was so choppy. I was reading through that and I was like, gosh dang, it's rough. ChatGPT could have definitely cleaned this up. Honestly, I should read like a version that they wrote, but that was my personal statement that I submitted to all my schools. Okay, now for the CMU specific essay. They ask, most students choose their intended major or area of study based on passion or inspiration that's developed over time. What passion or inspiration led you to choose this area of study? Okay, this is what I wrote. I have personally witnessed how Alzheimer's disease progresses, how it can affect individuals with the disease as well as their loved ones. To learn more about the biological mechanisms related to Alzheimer's, I took advanced placement biology in the 10th grade, and during one of the sections I learned about enzymes. Specifically, I discovered that misprints during protein synthesis cause a buildup of proteins which is linked to Alzheimer's. I then took a psychology course to learn more about the brain functioning and how the brain impacts the rest of the body. With this foundation of knowledge, I reached out to several doctors who specialize in Alzheimer's care to offer my assistance with their research, and I was able to connect with Dr. Madeline Hackney at Emory University. I collaborated with Dr. Hackney to help construct a curriculum dedicated to teaching self-care to Alzheimer's caretakers. I started out transcribing interviews between Dr. Hackney and caretakers and editing the curriculum. Eventually, I worked my way up to conducting preliminary literature reviews and training graduate students to interview caretakers by role-playing as one. From my experience with coursework and research, I have realized my passion for neuroscience. Pursuing neuroscience will allow me to understand the brain and neurological diseases like Alzheimer's more deeply. I know there's so much more to discover in regards to Alzheimer's research, and I want to be a part of the effort to find a cure or solution for this debilitating disease. If given the opportunity at Carnegie Mellon, I hope to study under Professor Alison Barth as she makes advancements towards studying neurons in Alzheimer's early stages. Okay, so actually Dr. Barth is someone I did consider reaching out to when I was doing research, but I actually never ended up reaching out to her. I only thought about it. Do I feel as passionate about neuroscience as I did when I first started? No. Alzheimer's is still quite interesting, but I'm not as passionate about it. Definitely not with neuroscience, because I took a cellular neuro class and I hated it so much. Okay, next one. Many students pursue college for specific degree, career opportunity, or personal goal. Whichever it may be, learning will be critical to achieve your ultimate goal. As you think ahead to the process of learning during your college years, how will you define a successful college experience? Okay, this is going to be a good one to unpack. When I look back on my high school experience, some of the best memories I hold are when I explored areas outside of my comfort zone that were challenging because I emerged from the experience as a stronger person. At Carnegie Mellon, I know that I will be challenged, whether it be during the late nights that I will stay up drawing compound structures for organic chemistry or writing papers for the Intro to Creative Writing class. I'm not fearful because I'm surrounded by supportive faculty and staff. Furthermore, this unique time period right before adulthood offers me the opportunity to find clarity within myself and my purpose. I'm excited by the prospect of creating lifelong bonds with professors and peers as I navigate this time of life at Carnegie Mellon, if given the opportunity. The environment of like-minded individuals going through similar circumstances is unique to come by. True. When I leave Carnegie Mellon, I hope to become a stronger individual prepared for the real world, as well as founded myself through the meaningful relationships established with peers, the two tools I will need to make my impact on the world. Oh, that's cute. Nice. Alright, last one. Consider your application as a whole. What do you personally want to emphasize about your application for the admissions committee's consideration? Highlight something that's important to you or something you haven't had a chance to share. Tell us, don't show us. So I said, I have embraced the role of an older sister in my community through the online community that I fostered among my students as a volunteer tutor with Next Generation Focus, a nonprofit. After the world shut down, I found myself with an abundance of free time on my hands. Wanting to do something, I decided I would volunteer as a tutor. Over the span of 8 weeks, Monday through Thursday, I met with my students and taught them lessons in math and reading. Despite only seeing each other through a computer screen, our class was able to establish a close-knit dynamic. Asking them, what did you eat for breakfast, or did you do anything fun over the weekend, made getting to know one another easy. Before I knew it, the kids and I were meeting up outside of class so they could teach me how to play roadblocks together. As the summer progressed, their attitude toward learning changed. Their once dreadful eyes turned to excitement when I called to them to read aloud their stories about traveling to space or answering 27 plus 21. By the end of the summer, the students showed significant growth, writing longer responses with less spelling errors and doing 2-digit addition. Occasionally, I still see my former students when I'm substituting for other classes, and they still remember my name. Seeing them work, I'm amazed by how much they have grown as learners, and I'm thankful to have been a part of such a pivotal part of their life. I'm thankful to have been a part of such a pivotal part of their life. That's a mouthful. Okay, that's not bad. When I'm reading this back, you could really tell that I submitted this quick. This was an application that I was not sure that I was going to apply, going to submit. CMU was a school that I did not know about, and I was like, oh, I don't really care about this school. So yeah, I did not give it a second thought. I think I put this together extremely fast, maybe in an hour. Let's read my UC applications, because those were good. So I got into both UCLA and UC Berkeley. So they had 4 250 word prompts. This is the first one. What do you believe makes you stand out as a strong candidate for admission to the University of California? I have a passion for learning, and during quarantine of 2020, I was granted the opportunity to pursue new forms of knowledge. I learned how to tell a story. At the peak of COVID, I wanted to document this new way of life. With my phone, I recorded videos of myself in my new world. Initially, my videos lacked structure and character, simply a compilation of clips. As I experimented more with style and structure, I figured out how to tell my story in a captivating manner using quick snippets of content in my introduction and including visuals. These videos are my digital keepsakes, a representation of a strange time in my life that I can later look back on. True, what you're looking at now. I learned how to run a small business. One afternoon, while shopping for groceries with my family, the cutest stuffed bumblebee captured my attention. I wanted one, but I could not justify its steep price, so I set out to make my own. After ordering the raw materials and watching countless tutorials, I was able to craft my very own stuffed bumblebee. Falling in love with crocheting, I created dinosaurs, whales, hats, and blankets. However, my funding for this hobby had quickly depleted, so I opened a small business to reinvest my revenue. Through this, I learned the ins and outs of running a small business, which helped sell my stuffed animals to customers all the way in California. That's true, though it was a Depop shop, small business. I coded my own app. Learning to program in Java was one of the most challenging skills I had picked up during the quarantine period, as I had no previous exposure to it. I faced many challenges, and I worked tirelessly through the course. I discovered there's no right way to code, which changed my approach to programming entirely. In experimenting with my code pushed me to think about contingencies. What if I used a greater than sign instead of a less than sign? Given the opportunity, I will bring my self-determination and excitement for learning at UCLA/UC Berkeley. Alright, the next question is, I don't know, I think it must be like something about talent, if I had to guess. Alright, this is what I wrote. My greatest talent is developing connection through conversation in different. They spoke to me solely in Vietnamese. Bo, father in Vietnamese, was my very first word. However, before I could say more than a couple words and phrases in Vietnamese, I was placed into daycare with caretakers who only spoke English. Then I started reading and writing and speaking English at school. I began losing my ability to communicate in Vietnamese. After seeing my older cousin stop interacting with her grandparents because of the language barrier, my mom told me that I could only speak in Vietnamese at home. Little by little, with the help of my relatives, I relearned my native tongue. When they come to my house, we practice how to pronounce the names of Vietnamese dishes and read Vietnamese nursery rhymes together. Today, I'm fluent enough to sit at the table with my family and engage in meaningful conversation. In middle school and throughout high school, I studied Spanish. As a novice speaker, I struggled to connect words and phrases to make cohesive sentences. Yet, I get better by practicing with people in my community. One afternoon during my sophomore year, I met Senora Jimenez, one of the custodians at my school, and I asked her, ¿Cómo estás? How are you doing? My simple question unfolded into a year-long friendship. Each time we saw each other, we chatted in Spanish. I shared stories about my day while getting to know her as a Catholic, an immigrant, and a mother. With greater Spanish fluency, I'm able to participate in school events catered to Hispanic students like Dia de los Padres, an information session for incoming freshman parents. My greatest talent has provided me the opportunity to find community no matter where I am. Wait, I really like this one. This is true. I feel so strongly about being able to communicate in Vietnamese, so I'm really glad I had this one. Alright, second to the last one. Prompt. Every person has a creative side and it can be expressed in many ways. Problem solving, original or innovative thinking, and artistically, to name a few. Describe how you express your creative side. Greeting cards are often one of the most overlooked parts of a gift. However, to me, crafting cards allows me to express myself through care that I put into decorating the card itself and the thought I put behind my notes. One of my first and most memorable cards that I made was for my grandmother. For the first 5 years of my life, I remember her being in the kitchen cooking dinner for me while my parents were at work. On her 75th birthday, I gifted her a card with a picture of her hands carefully making bánh cuốn, my favorite Vietnamese dish, while I sat at a table behind her flipping through her red recipe notebook. In the time it took me to sketch the image, pick colors that reflected the homely atmosphere of her kitchen, and color in the drawing, I reflected on how grateful I was to have her while my parents were at work. My card serves as a symbol of gratitude that she can keep with her forever. Another memorable card I made was for my mom on Mother's Day. A couple of days prior, she had undergone hemorrhoid surgery. She was bedridden and in constant pain. To make her feel better, I gifted her a card that included a 3-dimensional flower that bloomed when she opened it. During that time I spent cutting and coloring paper petals, I reflected on her strength and drive. She immigrated to the United States at the age of 18. She had no money and she was not given an opportunity to finish her high school education at the time. Yet today she owns and operates her own small nail shop. This card creatively expresses my admiration for her never-ending strength. I've never been the person to say I love you. I show my love through my actions, and through cards, I show my recipients I love them. Wait, I think this one actually might be my favorite. It took me a long time to write this, but I think at that time, I was really into creating cards, and tracing them was what I was really good at doing, but it was really fun for me, very therapeutic, so I did a lot of that. Though the first part about the bánh cuốn thing was not necessarily true, I did want to write something about my grandma, so that's why I put it in there. Last prompt, what have you done to make your school or community better? Okay, I have embraced the role of older sister not only in my family but in my community as well. During the summer after my freshman year, I volunteered as a camp counselor for a program focused on kids ages 4 to 6. From 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, I was surrounded by bright, energetic kids. I created fun games for the kids to play and planned arts and crafts that prompted the kids to think creatively. I also practiced positive behavior. When my brothers stole toys, I modeled the act of asking for a turn and sharing. When one of my sisters asked me for help, I reminded her to say please and thank you. After a memorable summer, I hope that my influence remains with my siblings for a lifetime. Following the shutdown of in-person camps during my sophomore year, I started tutoring with Next Generation Focus, a nonprofit centered on providing underprivileged students with education and life-enriching activities. In the virtual space, I spent a majority of the time acting out short stories to kindergarten students. It filled my heart to hear their giggle and sighs when the books ended. In presenting books as a source of entertainment, I have unlocked the door to lifelong learners. This very experience inspires me to continue passing down my knowledge. The most rewarding part about being the older sister is seeing my younger siblings grow. When I run into them at the park or the grocery store, I'm fulfilled by the small reminder of the small role I played in their growth. Oh my, like, reading this just makes me so proud that I got in. I'm not sure if I got in because I'm an out-of-state resident, but wow, it made me so happy to read. That was so good. I hope you enjoyed that video. It was really fun for me to record and read back on all these essays as I reflect. Some of which I said is like true 3 years down the line. Actually 4, some of which is true like 3.5-ish years down the line. A lot has changed. I'm not super passionate about bio research. It's just not my thing. I don't like it as much as I thought I was going to. And my aspirations to still become a doctor are very much within me, but currently I'm going through this period where I'm just really anxious about not being able to get in and a lot of self-doubt and comparison. So that's currently where I'm at as a rising senior at Carnegie Mellon. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye!